Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast update for the southern U.S. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll start with temperatures here across the lower 48 on Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock this morning. A big spread across the south. We've got warm air feeding northward in advance of approaching storm system across the southwest. It's got 50s and 60s lifting into parts of Texas and Oklahoma, coastal Louisiana. We've got some cold air, though, across parts of the southeast, Alabama, Mississippi, up into Tennessee, over toward the Carolinas. Got some areas in the 30s as we get started here on this Tuesday morning. And as we look at the satellite picture here, you can see the pattern. Our trough and our ridge, this is where we've got high pressure, colder air, clear skies out ahead of our approaching storm system. This is where we got the warm air lifting northward in advance of the storm. We'll flip it over and look at the radar picture. And already an area of showers and thunderstorms ongoing across the Red River, parts of North Texas into central Oklahoma. A big area of rain on the north side here, and as some cold air filters in on the backside, even a little bit of snow from parts of Colorado into Iowa, northern Illinois, and southern Wisconsin. So very classic November storm here as we get started heading into Thanksgiving week. A little bit more in the way of hazardous weather to talk to. I know I remarked about the very quiet map that we had on Friday morning. We've got some winter weather advisories on the map now across parts of the upper Midwest back into the Rockies. And then we have the chance for some severe weather to talk about across parts of the South today and tomorrow. The day one outlook on the left. Day two for Wednesday on the right. Today we're talking about a slight risk across the Panhandle region of Texas and Oklahoma, eastward toward the Oklahoma City area, over toward Tulsa. We've got a marginal risk spreading across or surrounding that into North Texas, all the way into parts of the Ozarks and northern Louisiana. You can follow the cold front off to the east, follow the storm system off to the east tomorrow. We just shift that risk into the Ohio River Valley, the Mid-South, and parts of the southern U.S. We can also look at our Nutrien thunderstorm index. What this does is tells us if a thunderstorm develops, what kind of environment is it tapping into? And you can certainly see this thing pushing the top levels of the chart, suggesting that given thunderstorms here during the late evening into the overnight, there's a good chance that a few of those will be turning severe with large hail, damaging winds, maybe a tornado or two. Not exactly what I would call a textbook tornado setup, but certainly looking likely that we'll get some strong storms with some large hail and some gusty winds across parts of the Red River overnight into Tulsa, into the Ozarks. As we head into the late overnight, potentially continuing across Arkansas into the Boot Heel of Missouri toward the Mississippi River. As we head into early Wednesday morning, as we take it into about mid-afternoon Wednesday, we'll see that surface low and the warm, unstable air mass lifting all the way into parts of central Illinois, central Indiana. And so you can kind of follow the cold front across this region. Along and ahead of that, that's where we'll be talking about the chance for some strong storms, producing, again, large hail, strong winds in excess of 60 miles per hour, and then still the potential for a couple of tornadoes. It's not the time of year we're typically talking about this kind of thing, November 24th and 25th, the days before Thanksgiving, but do know that that potential is out there again over the next 24 to 36 hours, beginning first in the Panhandle region and then kind of spreading and fanning out as it moves off toward the east into the day tomorrow. So that's kind of the region that I would be watching for that potential for some strong storms. As we look at total precipitation forecast over the next 7 days, a couple of corridors of heavy rain expected across the mid and lower Mississippi valleys, heaviest of which expected across the Gulf Coast, and this is because of two storm systems. We get the one that comes in right now. Over the next 48 hours, we've got a second storm system, though, that's awaiting, going to likely become cut off across the Four Corners region before emerging and dumping another round of rain on the Gulf Coast as we get toward the back half of the weekend into early next week. Now, here's the jet stream pattern driving all of this. It's a very wavy jet stream pattern, storm systems embedded within the flow. All of our, the U shapes with the darker colors here, that's your storm systems, your upper level waves. We got one departing across the northeast now. This is the one causing the severe weather threat over the next 24 hours. This is the next one in the line. We've got a third one in the line here at this point as well. So a very wavy pattern. As I just hit play on this animation, you can see the waves kind of following that northwest to southeast trajectory. Now what happens though with a very active pattern like this, a lot of moving parts, it's a lot of uncertainty when you get out in the days 4, 5, 6, and beyond that time frame. So we get this first wave that comes swinging in again with the severe weather threat in the south, the snow off to the north. This one makes its way out of here as we get into Thursday and Friday. Here comes the next low. It's going to cut off across the southwest. That is going to allow the polar jet to kind of regroup and continue to scream from northwest to southeast, and that's where we get the uncertainty. Now we've got this big bowling ball sitting over the southwest. It's got nothing to steer it. It's going to meander out into the central and southern plains as we get to the back half of the weekend. The polar jet's going to continue to scream off to the northwest. At what point do we get some sort of interaction here? Do we get these two troughs trying to connect as the European would try and do here as we get into Monday into Tuesday? Is it going to get left behind? Perhaps this connection never happens and this bowling ball continues to just lumber along for another day or two. We really end up with some uncertainty that I'll show you here when we look at the precipitation forecast in a couple of slides. First, we're looking at dew points and surface winds. I want to show you the boundaries here that we'll be watching for the development of those strong storms as we head into the overnight. We'll take it to around 5 p.m. on Tuesday evening. And what you can see here is the strong feed of Gulf moisture making its way from Texas into Oklahoma. You can follow it up right there. You get the dry line pushing in from the southwest. You get that dry air coming in kind of right in this region. You got your cold front off to the northwest. So you've got cold air coming in here from the northwest. And then you've got your surface low developing here kind of right around the Panhandle region. So we call this the triple point, and this is your focal point for those strong storms to initiate. So as we get into the late afternoon, the evening hours, I would really watch kind of the borders here between Oklahoma and Texas for those storms to erupt during the last hours of the afternoon, the first hours of the evening. We can then follow that boundary. You can watch the front then start to surge off to the east. The surface low rides that front up to the northeast into central Illinois by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon. So here's our front Wednesday afternoon extending from central Illinois all the way down into the Gulf Coast. It's along and ahead of that, we'll see the potential for those strong storms to continue or redevelop. So here's the high resolution NAM model. This will take us into Friday. We'll bring it back here to Tuesday morning. We've got those thunderstorms getting getting underway across Oklahoma. Those will continue to lift off to the north and east into parts of Kansas and the Ozarks by the time we get to the evening. Late afternoon, late evening, this is when the main event will begin to develop. Again, in the form of those stronger storms producing large hail, damaging winds, and maybe a tornado or two. I really think damaging winds going to be the primary hazard here and some large hail initially. We may see a bit of a line develop or a Boeing line segment as we head into the early overnight racing through the Ozarks. It's then possible we could see a line of thunderstorms, a broken line or a squall line extending from the St. Louis area all the way down into parts of Louisiana and Texas during the overnight, producing scattered severe weather reports. And then it looks like we'll get a little break behind the first round, allowing for some clearing across this region. So it is possible parts of the lower Mississippi Valley up into the Ohio River Valley sees a second round of storms developing Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, again producing some gusty winds, some large hail, and maybe a tornado or two. Where's the snow going to be likely over the next 4.5 days? Well, off to the north. We'll see a little bit here across parts of northern New Mexico. Not expecting any snow on the backside of this across the panhandles of Texas or Oklahoma. So here's the European model. We can take it a little bit further into the weekend and early next week, then I'll show you some of the differences here and some of the issues with the second storm system. So getting going here Tuesday midday, getting into Tuesday evening, Tuesday at midnight now, and then this would be sunrise on Wednesday morning. Those strong storms kind of riding along the front through eastern Texas into northern Louisiana, across the state of Arkansas, and then eventually pushing across the Mississippi River into Tennessee and Mississippi by the time we get to around mid-afternoon on Wednesday. And again, these storms could continue to be severe over through the overnight into the early morning hours. Now, as we get to Thursday morning, sunrise on Thursday morning, that front's beginning to wash out. We'll see those showers and storms from parts of Mississippi into northern Georgia up into the Carolinas. Thursday evening, Thanksgiving Day, looking good off to the west. It'll be a bit cooler, but quiet across Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then portions of Mississippi and up into the mid-south. But where we could see those thunderstorms and that rain continuing during the Thanksgiving holiday would be kind of hugging the Gulf Coast from East Texas, southern Louisiana into the panhandle of Florida, southern portions of Mississippi and Alabama, and then certainly coastal portions of the Carolinas could see some lingering rain later into the day on Friday. Now we quickly start to return the flow on the backside of this one in advance of the approaching system that's going to get cut off across the southwest as we get into the weekend. This is now Saturday morning. We've got moisture returning now. Showers and storms likely across the Gulf Coast from eastern Texas into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama on Saturday. Taking it into Saturday evening now. We're getting that low emerging now Sunday. This would be Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Now this is where we've got some question marks. We've got this low down across the south. We've got this other low off to the north. Do these interact in some sort of way? We looked at the European model, the upper level jet stream flow, and it did have these kind of these troughs, these upper level troughs linking in such a way that this surface low is then kind of pulled off to the north and to the east, becoming quite the coastal storm across New England as we head into the Monday and Tuesday timeframe. Now, here's the issue. We look at the European on the left, the GFS on the right. Again, the European model a little bit more gung-ho about the intensity and kind of linking these two systems. The GFS faster, weaker, a little less interested in playing with these two systems together. So we're talking about 4.5 days out into the future, 5.5 days out into the future. We're talking about Sunday night into Monday morning, not all that far out there, but we've got a difference of 500 miles in several states between the location of this storm system and big disagreements with the intensity. And that's going to make a big difference in, obviously, do we pull some cold air in? Do we see some snow in Oklahoma and Arkansas on Sunday night? Or are we dry? Are we quiet on Sunday night across the very same location? So let's watch this day by day and understand that the second system, we have good agreement in it existing, but the exact impacts a huge array of potential scenarios still at just 5 days out into the future. The kind of stuff that just drives your meteorologist crazy. So over the next 4 days, what we have good agreement in, a big corridor here expected to see anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain from the Gulf Coast all the way into the Central Plains back toward the Eastern Corn Belt. As we look at the next 10 days, we can use the ensembles for guidance here. On the left, I've got the probability of picking up a 1 inch or more of total precip over the next 10 days. On the right side, we'll jump it up. Probability of picking up 2 inches or more over the next 10 days. And again, you can see we're really honing in kind of on this corridor from East Texas across Louisiana into western Mississippi. This is where we get some rain from the first system over the next 24 to 48 hours. But then as we get into the weekend, starting around Saturday or late Friday into Saturday, we really resume a pattern here that's going to have near daily chances for showers and storms, at least for a couple of days as we get going into next week. Your high temperatures for today, again, warmer off to the west, a little cooler in the east. Here's a look at things on Wednesday, and then your Thanksgiving holiday. Again, very warm across the region, 60s and 70s, even some 80s for folks on our Thursday afternoon. The chance for some scattered showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms across primarily coastal areas of the Carolinas, back toward coastal areas of the Gulf Coast. Here's a look at your Friday highs, Saturday, and then as we head into next week, it's looking like we'll likely be trending a bit cooler. Reminder, no regional forecast on Friday. It will be a holiday for us. I'll talk to you again specifically about the South on Tuesday morning.